And I'd like to welcome you all to our Tuesday 1:30 p.m. session where we have the Leadership Council for Healthy Communities, and we'll be talking about the My Plate app with Sue. I'm going to read our disclaimer before we get started. The WildTech DC Senior iPad program, its owners and presenters offer technical assistance, virtual health, well-being information designed for educational purposes only. You should not rely on the information in any applications or topics made by WildTech, including but not limited to mobile device applications and any social media pages maintained by WildTech, its owners, or presenters as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, treatment, or legal advice. Thank you so much for letting me read the disclaimer. If you cannot see us or hear us or see the screen, please let us know in the chat, and we would appreciate that. I always recommend that you have some kind of notes next to you, so that way you could record things down or review them later. Don't forget, you can take a screenshot on your iPad by hitting the home button and power button at the same time. So that way you could take a screenshot of whatever slide if you would like. And let's make sure to keep our TVs and cell phones silenced to give others, and most importantly yourself, the most immersive experience. So again, Sue, if you could introduce yourself and what you'll be
Sure.
covering today, we really appreciate it. And thank you so much for attending and hosting our session today.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. Very good. But I've also opened my computer up because sometimes in this building with laptops, the bandwidth is a little low. So if you suddenly see me disappear here, don't worry. I have other the computer set up at the back.
Okay.
So I'll just go right from here to there and I'll pick up. Okay. And if you see an extra person, that's probably me on the other screen. So it's really nice to be here with all of you. I hope you remember the last month, I think it was 2 months back, I presented on hydration. So I hope all of you are hydrating well, drinking water, and, you know, keeping yourselves nice and hydrated, especially in this warm weather. I'm sure you all are, right? Correct? Okay. So, apart from the session, I'm going to send the sheet to um, Alex. This is called The Taste
Uh-huh.
of Summer.
You
You
have
can
a
see it here,
PDF of
right?
that, Sue?
Yes, I
You have
do.
a
And I will
oh
share it as soon as I finish the session, I'll share it.
you can
What
also
this
put it
says,
in the chat. You can put your
yes, I can.
flyer in the
I
chat.
can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So when I finish,
Thank you.
maybe when I finish the session, I'll put it in there. But this just gives you a schedule of all of the places where you can pick up fresh produce. It's Monday, no, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, right up till July 19th. I took a group of seniors last week and they gave us so much of stuff. They had blueberries, they had all kinds of produce in that bag. And it goes by very quickly too. You don't need ID or anything. You just stand in line and in like 3, 4 minutes, you're finished with the line because they have some students running this. I think that's why they have it at the schools to let the students get involved in social, an event like this, which is good for them. So I would highly recommend that um, when I send this flyer and put it in the chat, you take advantage of this. You can pick up enough produce for a whole week in just one visit, but it is available every single day, so you could go to any of the locations. There's one on Fort Stanton Recreation Center, Woody Ward Recreation Center, Martha's Outfitters on Martin Luther King Avenue, Deanwood Rec Center, and Benning Stoddard Recreation Center. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to hope that the screen shares because sometimes, okay, so let me see. Okay. Please tell me if you can see the screen.
You're good to go, Sue. Thank you so much.
It says
Plate up
plate
your
up
health, a
your health.
delicious
Okay.
dive into
Good, good,
USDA
good.
My Plate. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good, good. And is it showing, is it filling the entire screen or?
No, you have a PDF open of it, so it's not gonna fill the whole screen when you have it up in that manner. But
Can you still
we
see
can
it?
yeah, it's very visible, so you're good to go. I think you can just hit on the one, then the two, then the three. You can use the options on the left to switch between your slides.
Okay, let me see if it has. This was actually created using Google Slides, and for whatever
Yeah,
reason,
can you go into
it
Google
wouldn't
Slides?
open up. It wouldn't open up on PowerPoint. I'm not sure why. So because of that, this. But if you are able to see it, I can just go ahead. You're good, right?
Yeah, you're good.
Fit to width. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so we are going to go into the plate. I'm sure all of you know about the plate, right? The USDA My Plate, it replaced the pyramid a few years back. Do you remember how they had this pyramid where they had, the sweets on top and they had all these food groups? The plate is a lot easier because it helps you to visualize what should be on your plate. So much easier, right? Because all of us eat on plates, and most of the time the plates are round. Maybe once in a while it could be square, but even then you can use the same dimensions. Okay. Okay. So there are five food groups in the plate. You can see on this plate, you can see there's grain, and then there's the protein, then there's the fruit, the vegetable, and the fifth group is actually this glass of dairy milk, which is outside. Okay, so one, two, three, four, five. So although this is outside the plate, it's still considered a part of the plate. Now I thought we could first look at fruits. Okay, fruits are often the most interesting group of the plate. So we're going to look at fruits and we're going to see how do we incorporate fruits into our diet. And we're also going to look at uh, what the color of the fruit does. You know how they say eat the rainbow. So we're going to see why is it important to get something from each group. Okay. After that, we're going to go into the vegetables and we're going to look at the different colors to there. And we're going to see why vegetables are good for you. What is the difference maybe between eating vegetables and fruit? Is there a difference? We're going to look at points like that. And then eat the rainbow, like I said, it's recommended that we eat a variety of fruits and vegetables for diverse nutrients. Okay, so each color, if you go by the color, you pretty much kind of can categorize the fruit as, fruit or the vegetable to tell you what it provides. Okay, now generally, vegetables are better for people who are diabetic. For persons who are diabetic, it's better to go a little slow on the fruit because fruit sugar, although a natural sugar, is still a sugar. And if you do eat fruits as a diabetic, it's usually recommended that you have it before noon, before 12 noon in the morning. And whenever you have a fruit, pair it with a protein like a piece of cheese or some nuts, because what this will do is it'll balance out the way your sugar, I mean the fruit sugar, the way it hits your system, like blood glucose levels. I'm sure all of you have heard about that. When you have diabetes, you have to make sure that your levels are kind of steady and not going up and down. If it goes down, you get a low sugar. If it goes up, you get a high sugar. So keeping it steady is important. And sometimes fruits can give you a high sugar, but if you eat some fruit, like actually they say protein with it, like nuts or maybe cheese or maybe a boiled egg, something with the fruit, it'll make sure that your fruit doesn't affect your body in the way that of eating fruit alone would do, if that makes sense. Okay, maybe we'll go into that a little later. Now, let's look at the yellow. Actually, I'm going to team the fruits and vegetables together because when you look at the color, it's the same nutrient. So, what are yellow fruits and vegetables? You can see I have some here. There are bananas, peppers, there are the yellow apples, the golden delicious, the squash, there's also the yellow tomatoes. So, the color yellow are usually I mean, not usually, they have vitamin C, a lot of vitamin C. Okay. So vitamin C is the sunshine vitamin and it's connected to yellow fruits and vegetables. Um, and what does vitamin C do? It boosts your immunity. It has beta carotene, antioxidants. It's good for the skin. It helps with digestion, eye health. And examples are like bananas, yellow peppers, pineapple, corn. They're supposed to be very good for the eyes. And it also, every time you get a cold, remember your They always say take a lot of vitamin C. It helps with healing. So especially if you're going for some surgery, or you have like a small thing, maybe you're going in for like um, to remove a little fibroid or some ulcer, or if you have just even anything, vitamin C is very good for healing. So especially when you come out of the hospital, it's good to have extra vitamin C in your system to help with wound healing. Now let's look at the red fruits and vegetables. What do the red fruits and vegetables do? Now here you can see we have the apples, of course, red apples, tomatoes, then there's the radish, red plums, strawberries, all of these uh, are red. And what they do is they give you watermelon too. They give you a nice boost of lycopene. Okay. Now, what is lycopene? Lycopene is an antioxidant that may reduce cancer, especially prostate cancer, and it also helps with heart disease to prevent or to put you in, like, if you eat a lot of this the red produce, it helps to prevent, and it's kind of protective. It's also like helps with blood, things like that. And lycopene is also known as it's like sun protection and under against the sun. Lycopene actually is called sunscreen in a fruit or sunscreen in a vegetable. It is believed that if you drink like a glass of watermelon juice or eat a lot of strawberries, it gives your skin natural sun protection. Maybe you can just ditch the sunscreen when you go to the beach. Not quite, but anyway, it is known as the prevent cancer, skin cancer vitamin. Okay, and most of the lycopene and the nutrition is between the skin and the flesh. So if you're eating a watermelon, you know that white part of the watermelon, which is between the skin and the red part, well, that is actually the part which has the most nutrition. But what do we do with the white part? We generally throw it away, right? You see the white, you slice the watermelon, you eat all the nice red part, and then it goes into the trash. Try to see if you can eat the white part. You don't, you can make a salad with it, or you can juice with it. You can put it into smoothies because all of the nutrition is concentrated there. When you're eating like a strawberry, it's easy to get the skin because you eat strawberries with the skin. Grapes, you eat the skin. Apples, you eat the skin. Tomatoes, you eat the skin. But the watermelon is one fruit where most people, you have to throw the skin away, the green part. But try to get to that white part and don't throw it away. Find some use for it. Okay. Let's look at the purple fruits and veggies. Purple fruits and vegetables are actually now becoming very popular. If you go into grocery stores, you'll see the purple cabbage, you'll see the purple sweet potato, and of course, the other fruits and vegetables that are purple are like the beetroots, eggplant, purple grapes, the red onion. So, what's with the purple? Now, the purple is actually it's called the new black, which means that it's considered the most healthy color among all the colors of fruits and vegetables. Okay, so even if you eat, like, say, half a cup of purple cabbage, it has more nutrients in it than 2 cups of the regular green, or, you know, I don't know what color exactly cabbage is. It's kind of it's greenish, white, whatever, but the purple one is packed with this nutrient called anthocyanins. That's what gives it the purple, vibrant color, and they're very good for you. They're finding that these are super antioxidants. They have vitamins, they have minerals, and the anthocyanins are very, very good. They're like they kind of like top all the vitamins and minerals. You may not. Especially now, they're doing a lot of research to show that anthocyanins are right on top there. So a good way to get them is by eating up all the purple produce. Okay. Now let's look at the green fruits and veggies. Now green, whenever a green smoothie, what does that do? Kind of cleans your system, right? So green is always associated with detox. Green has a lot of chlorophyll in it. It cleanses the body. So green does that. So vitamins and minerals, like there's vitamin K in green fruits and veggies. And why is vitamin K important? It's the anti clotting, it's the clotting vitamin. What happens is, like, say you have a cut on your finger and you put a little pressure on it, it should heal in like a few seconds or even a minute. It should stop bleeding. If it keeps on bleeding and it doesn't like stop quick enough, that would probably be a sign that you're low in vitamin K. So especially when you're going in for surgery where there will be a lot of blood, or you're going in for a procedure, or just generally too, vitamin K is important for everyone. The only people who should maybe watch their vitamin K a little bit are those who are on certain heart medications, because it could be a blood thinner. But if you are, your doctor will tell you about it. So if they don't tell you that you uh, don't need to avoid vitamin K, it's a good idea to load up on it. They have magnesium, potassium. Also, persons with renal disease should be a little careful with the green fruits and veggies, because the potassium and the vitamin K are they shouldn't have large amounts of it when you have kidney disease, because the kidneys are not able to filter it out. Okay, so which are the green fruits and vegetables? Broccoli, spinach, avocado, lemon. No, not the lemon. Sorry, the lime. All the the chard and the kale, all of the spinach family, all of those have green. They can boost energy levels and help with weight management. Then the orange fruits and veggies. Orange fruits and veggies are probably the most popular. Oranges, tangerines, and then there's the persimmon, and then there is the what are the oranges? Orange, I don't know. I put a few up here. If anyone knows of any more, when we open up for a little question time after the fruits and vegetables, you can tell me some other orange produce. So this again has vitamin C, very very similar to the yellow. Yellow and orange are very similar in their properties, and that both of them are very very high in vitamin C, fiber, antioxidants, and they do the same thing. They support immunity, skin, and digestion. They lower the risk of chronic disease like heart disease and promote heart health. Now, before we go into the grains, I was wondering, does anyone have any questions about the fruits and vegetables? We covered one section of the plate. There are five sections. So if anyone has a question now, I can take it. Uh, any questions about the fruit and
Um,
vegetable?
Thank you so much, Sue. I really appreciate all of the knowledge and information. I didn't know about that purple bit, the purple being the best. So I love me some eggplant and some like, red cabbage or something like that. So I'll keep that in mind when I'm doing my produce shopping. So
Good,
thank
good,
you.
good. Okay. So no
Um,
questions in the chat, right? Or has
no,
anyone raised their
oh,
hand?
no, I did see we had one, but they lowered their hand, so hopefully that means we answered it. But again, if y'all have any questions for Sue, please make sure to raise your hand in Zoom. But no, I don't see any so far, but thank you so
Okay.
much
So
for the
let
session so far.
okay. You can always after all the food groups are over too, we could address questions too. So now we're
Mhm.
going into grains. So we're going to look at grains and we're going to see, why do we need grains? What is the difference between whole grains? All of that. Okay. Whole grains versus refined grain. Now, a whole grain is just what its name suggests. It's a whole grain. So it has the bran, germ, endosperm, all of that good stuff, which gives it fiber, vitamins, and minerals. When they refine grains, what happens is they process it. And when they process it, the processed grains will lack these components, resulting in fewer nutrients. But what they do these days is they fortify the grains. So if you can't eat whole grains, you should look for something that says fortified with vitamin B, fortified with bran, and all of those terms, because then those are as close to whole grains as possible. Okay, so why are whole grains good for you? They're good. They're high in nutrients. They reduce heart disease, stroke, cancer. They aid digestion and are a good source of carbohydrate, which boosts energy. Okay. Now, adding fiber provides bulk and prevents constipation. So, fiber benefits include promoting digestive health, aiding with weight management, reducing chronic disease risk, regulating blood sugars, and supporting a healthy gut microbe. When you eat whole grains, it actually puts a lot of good bacteria into your gut. Fiber does that too. Okay. And again, when you eat fiber, your stomach gets full because fiber is like a sponge. It kind of soaks up fiber and water together are a good combination. So when you eat foods that are high in fiber and you drink some water, it'll kind of become like a sponge in your stomach. It'll expand. And that's the reason why you don't feel hungry. So, starting a meal with fiber, especially if you do not want to overeat or if you want to eat less or you're trying to lose weight, is not a bad idea. Start with the fiber. It'll slowly expand in your stomach and then it'll tell your brain that you're feeling full. So you won't eat too much. Go to a little party. Okay, maybe you want to eat the fiber at the end because you want to enjoy all the dishes. But generally, uh, you know, that's a very good way to try to eat less or to not overeat or to try to or to eat foods that are just not overeat. I'll just stop there. Okay. Now, sprouted grains. Have you heard about sprouted grains? These are super nutritious. They're very, very healthy. They have 10 times the nutrients of regular grains, and they're actually so easy to make. Now, if you buy sprouted grains, they're very expensive. If you go to stores, they'll sell like a tiny little box for like $5. And, people put them in sandwiches, people eat them plain, they put them into salads. But I think it's a little later, or let me see if I can go to that slide. Yeah. How do you make sprouted greens? Okay, it's very easy. All you have to do is you have to go to Amazon and buy a pack of um, bean seed. They call them sprout seeds. Okay, and you'll get a whole little bag for very little. You'll get like for $5, you'll get enough to make like maybe 4 weeks worth, even if you were having the sprouts every single day. So how do you do that? One is you can put it into a soak them overnight in a mason. Wait a minute. Um, this is the bean grains. Let me see if I have a slide on the other grains. Okay. Okay, so for this, I'm just going to explain it because the other slide that I just showed you was for beans. For these, all you need to do is you can get some potting mix, okay? Put it into a tray and just sprinkle the seeds in there. Just spritz it with water. It doesn't need a whole lot of water. If you have a little spray bottle and you spray that little patch, in like 2 days, you'll see something popping up. And in 1 week, you'll have grains which look like this. And that's when they're ready to eat. You can harvest them. Okay. I had a nutrition class where we made them, we made little batches of sprouted grains using a water bottle. And what we did was we cut the water bottle. And what I'll do is when I go back to just showing you my face and not the slides, I'll describe that. We had to just cut the water bottle, we had to invert it, and then we put a little bit of soil in there and we put the seeds. And the bottom part actually worked as a self watering system because we filled it with water and just loosened the cap a little bit. And in like 4 days, everybody had like a big little bunch of sprouts. So it's super easy to make if you want to make it at home. So much cheaper. And once you make it, it's so easy that you would keep on making it. You could even use an egg carton box, put a little bit of soil in there. Potting mix is usually good. And then put the grains in there, the sprout grains, and just spritz it with water. And in like 2, 3 days, they'll start coming up. And 4, 5 days, you'll have a new batch to eat. Okay. Now we're going to look at proteins, but before we look at proteins, does anyone have any questions about the grains?
Hey Sue, thank you so much for that information. And we can see yourself and the presentation at the
Oh, you
same
can?
time. So
Oh, okay, okay.
yes, yes,
Oh, good,
yes.
because I shake my hands a lot. I thought you couldn't see me, so now I got to
Oh
watch that.
yes, you're
I'm
yeah, you're
always like all this.
yeah, you're spotlighted so you can see yourself and the presentation as well. But
Okay.
thank you. We do have a hand up. I do see in the chat. I don't know if this is what you were talking about, Mr. Thomas, but Mr. Thomas said the white part of the watermelon can be pickled and makes a great side for your hamburger instead of a dill pickle. It can be made either sweet or dilled. It's up to you. And Gracie said it
Wow.
can be made into preserves like pears or something.
That's such a great idea. I'm going to try that. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. That's great,
Mm-hmm.
right? You could actually use it like pickle and all that valuable nutrition which is in the white part. You won't be losing that. Thank you for that idea. I'm definitely going to try that.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. I see every hand up as well. Do you have something else to talk about? Do you have something to talk about grains that we just covered? Anything about grains, Mr. Thomas?
Yeah, the one thing I'm talking about the grains is that I do grow them. The problem is that I grow and can't eat them all in one day, but my cat loves them and use them just like catnip.
Okay. So you do the sprouted grains at home too?
I do sprouted grains, yes ma'am. That's why the
Very good,
cat
very
loves
good.
them.
They are a super grain. If you have sprouted grains, they are among those foods. There are certain foods, and maybe sometime you could have a workshop on that called. Have you heard of senolysis? Senolysis is actually a way in which you help the brain to regrow fresh cells and get rid of the old zombie cells in the body. That's a big thing right now, and people sell supplements and everything. But some foods are strongly senolytic, and sprouted grains are one of them. So, what they would do is they would actually help your body to get rid of the zombie cells, and they would help your brain to grow fresh cells. There are about 10 foods which are considered senolytic cells. Senolytic foods, and sprouted grains is one of them. And in order to really get the effect of it, you should eat it on like a regular basis. So if you're into sprouting, you could maybe make a whole batch for the week and then midweek make another batch. So by the time you finish the first batch, your second batch will be ready. And like I said, if you're committed to doing it, and it's very inexpensive. You buy those seeds for $10 and it'll last you for more than a month. So much cheaper than getting it at a grocery store. I see a hand from Louis.
Yeah, yes. Thank you for answering that. Sue, thank you for asking that, Mr. Thomas, or sharing your comments. We appreciate it. Next up is Louise. Hi, Louise. You had something to talk about the grains. How are
Yeah,
you? Mm-hmm.
asking. Hi, Sue. I used to listen to Sue from the center,
Oh,
but
okay, okay. Hi.
yeah, it's very difficult to get through to that website sometimes. But
Okay.
is the sprouted bean the one like the mung beans?
The mung beans too. Yeah, you could sprout those. See, these right now I'm talking about sprouted grains, so it's like
Mm,
the seeds. But when I talk about protein, and because I kind of categorize beans as protein, I will
right.
be talking about how you can sprout beans too. Those are highly nutritious too. It's just a little bit of a different method. For the
Mhm.
seeds, you actually need soil.
Oh,
Some
okay.
people do it hydrophonically, but uh, they do better with the soil. But with the beans, you don't need soil. Like, say, you take a handful of mung beans, or you take chickpeas, or you take the kidney beans. For those, you don't need any soil. And I will talk about that method when we talk about protein. For that, all you need is water and a mason jar or any jar for that matter. And you have
Oh, Sue,
and
you
that's how you do.
there you go.
Pardon?
And
Oh no, you went out for a second, Sue, but you're
the
back in.
watermelon, I never knew, and I had a friend at work
Mhm.
from the Philippines, and she used that part of the watermelon. She steamed it with vegetables.
See, she knew that
Yeah,
it was
and I
nutritious.
started eating most of it with the red part instead of
Okay.
cooking it. Yeah.
Okay. So that's great because finding ways to use the white part of the watermelon is really good. I sometimes what I do is I take it and I cut it and I freeze it, and then when I'm making a smoothie, like everybody eat the red part, and then I go as close
Yeah.
to the skin, cut little chunks, and I just throw it into the freezer and forget about it. And then when
Uh-huh.
I'm making smoothies, I take out the bag and put some in. It adds bulk to the smoothie. It adds so
Mm-hmm.
much more nutrition to the smoothie, and because it was frozen, it kind of stayed. The nutrients are intact. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I do. Okay. Now, should I go ahead to the next slide, which is
Yeah.
protein? Okay.
Yeah,
Now we're going to
thank you,
talk about
Louise. I
protein.
appreciate it, Louise. Thank you so
You
much for your
are.
question.
Yeah, and thank you for that idea about what your friend does too, with the watermelon. Any ideas we can get, which we share, people are going to try, because I'm definitely going to try both of the watermelon ideas that I got, the watermelon rind ideas that I got. Okay, now protein party. We're going into a protein party. What is the protein? What are protein foods? Okay, protein foods are chicken, turkey, beef, pork, fish, eggs, but we're also going to look at vegetarian proteins. What are they rich in? They're good. They're rich in essential amino acids, which promote muscle growth and overall health. Okay. As you age, there are two nutrients that you want to keep in your diet. Those are proteins and healthy fats. Carbohydrate you can slow down on because carbohydrates are for energy, and sometimes, like for athletes, they should always have quite a good amount of carbohydrate in their diet because it helps them to be active and to move, etc., and to perform well. Now, if you're not very active, you could slow down on the carbohydrate, but protein you always need because everything is still growing in your body. You may feel like as you age, things are not growing. Like, for example, you may think that your hair is not growing, etc., but there are other parts of your body that are growing, like your cells, your skin, your muscles. All of those need protein. Very important. Unless you're like on a renal diet where they restrict the protein in your diet, protein should be eaten by seniors, and healthy fats too, because healthy fats do a lot of good in keeping everything lubricated, giving you that brain food that you need, etc. Okay. Now, um, a lack of protein affects body functions. So, consuming protein rich foods is crucial for well being. And again, protein, along with vitamin C, are two nutrients that you need to make sure you have when you're undergoing any kind of surgery or any kind of procedure or anything. You should make sure that you have protein and vitamin C so your body is able to get back to its usual self quickly and heal well. Okay. Now, what are vegetarian protein sources? There are a lot of people who, for health reasons or for religious reasons or personal reasons, like to eat vegetarian. Right. So, vegetarian protein sources are beans, lentils, chickpeas, tofu, tempeh, quinoa, nuts, seeds, and some whole grains like amaranth and buckwheat because they're very, very high in protein, those two. Cheese and yogurt are also part of a vegetarian diet. If you're vegan, though, you wouldn't eat the cheese and the yogurt, but for vegetarians, uh, cheese and yogurt are a good source of protein in the diet. And if you have vegetarian protein, there was a point I wanted to make, but I'm going to do that after we talk about vegan protein, okay, plant-based. There are a lot of people who do not want to eat dairy too, so they opt for a vegan diet. A vegan diet is a little more challenging for you to get your protein. Beans, lentils, chickpeas, tofu, tempeh, quinoa, nut seeds, whole grains are great examples of vegan proteins. They are rich in protein, fiber, vitamins, and minerals, and there is no dairy in a vegan diet. Okay. Now, eggs have a score of 100. Did you know that of all the protein foods in the world, the best protein it comes from the incredible edible egg, that little white egg. There are brown eggs too. I shouldn't have said white, but just the egg. The egg has a score of 100. Okay. And every other protein is compared to the egg. They can't go over 100. So it's 98, 96, 99, or 70, 60, but everything they use egg as a reference protein, which is why eggs are a very, very good source of protein. And the reason why egg has a score of 100 is because it has all the essential amino acids in that one egg. Everything. Some protein foods have certain essential amino acids, some have more, some have less, but the egg has everything in it, which is why it's good to eat eggs. Okay, if you have high cholesterol, even then, they're connecting cholesterol to high sugar in the diet, high carbohydrate. Even if you have high cholesterol, your doctor probably told you you can have at least an egg a day, right? Because of the goodness in the egg. Okay. Now, why do we need essential amino acids? These are high quality amino acids which help and help with healing, help with everything. Now, I wanted to uh, teach you about the simple principle called protein pairing. Okay. Now, protein pairing is a concept where you take two foods and combine them together. Okay. And when you combine them together, you get a complete protein. Now, when I say combine them together, it doesn't mean you literally have to mix them together, although you could if you wanted to. It just means that you have to eat it at the same meal. And this is a technique which goes way back to our ancestors. And if you notice now, a lot of the combinations of food that we eat, they were passed on from our forefathers, like rice and beans. Okay, rice and beans is a very popular combination, right? So this is something that they've done for centuries, but they didn't know at that time, maybe. Um, did my screen just go off?
No, no, Sue, you're good to go.
Okay, okay. You can still see the screen, right? Because for me, it
Mm-hmm.
just went off, and I don't know where it went, so I'm trying to find it. Um, that's fine. I can read it from here too.
Yeah, you're still
Just
on
give
your
me a
protein
second.
pairing slide.
Okay, so the protein pairing, the should have gone to the next one. Do you think I should reshare, or
Yes, try that out. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go and share screen again? Okay, maybe it timed out. Okay, I think everybody can see it now.
Yep, you're
Okay,
good. Thank
okay.
you.
Now here are some ideas of protein pairing. Maybe it's doing that because I'm spending too long on a slide. I don't know. Anyway, so here are some ideas: legumes and whole grains, beans and rice. Now, in a lot of cultures, they eat rice with lentils. Have you ever had rice with lentils? If you go to an Indian restaurant, they'll probably serve you something called dal, and traditionally that's eaten with rice. That's an example. Beans and rice, of course, all of us know that dish and eat it. Lentils and spinach. Did you know that this is a great protein pairing? You take lentils and throw some spinach into it, any kind of greens, not only spinach, it could be kale, it could be chard, and that gives you a complete protein. Rice and yogurt. Now, has anyone ever tried this combination? If you haven't,
It's
I'm
not too
telling you, it's
different
such
than
a
like
good
cereal.
combination. It's like cereal, but it's kind of like you should make it savory. Okay, rice and yogurt is a very popular dish in India because they're so hot and they don't. Air conditioning is like, maybe a few homes will have it, or maybe one room in your house will have it, and that's like 95, 100 degrees weather most of the time in some states. So they came up with ways to keep the body cool, and one of those is rice and yogurt. They cook hot rice and then they have yogurt, plain yogurt, not vanilla yogurt. They mix the two together, like mixing a pudding, like rice pudding, put a little salt into it, and sometimes they'll add some cilantro or they'll add a little bit of ginger, and it's so good. And that's actually like comfort food. Uh, till today, if my kids feel like something that's they when they went off to college, of course they had all that dorm food, so when they came back they kind of appreciated my Indian food more. But when they come home, they'll say, can you just make me a bowl of rice and yogurt? Because when you eat that, there's something so comforting about that. But I think you wouldn't know that unless you tried it. It's also very good for digestion. But try it. Just make some hot rice, spoon in some plain yogurt with a pinch of salt, and taste it and see how it tastes. Okay. If somebody does that and tells me, the next time we have this class, I tried that, I would be happy to know. I would be interested to know what your reaction to that dish was. But that again is a good protein pairing. Tofu and spinach, tofu and chickpeas, nuts and seeds. So all of these, and there are more, would give you a complete protein. So how nice is that? Because if you have a combination, it's going to give you all the essential amino acids like the egg without actually eating the egg. Okay. Now, sprouted beans, sprouting beans boosts the nutrition. It's kind of like magic beans, and it's very easy to do that. All you have to do is you have to put it into a mason jar. I feel like that slide just went somewhere else. Okay. Um, here you go. Okay. You can rinse the grains. This is grains. Okay. Grains, beans, everything. Just soak the beans in a little bit of water. Okay. It shouldn't be overflowing. It should be like just covering it. And then in the morning, what will happen is the beans would have gotten swollen up. They'll be a lot. They'll be a lot bigger. So when you put the water, you should have at least an inch of water on top. And in the morning, you'll see no water at all, but the beans would have almost like grown and become bigger. They'll be similar to your canned beans. When you have canned chickpeas, it's kind of the size that it is. That'll be the size of the dried chickpeas when you put the water into it to sprout it. And then after you do that, what you have to do is once it's swollen up, you have to put it into like some place where you get a little bit of like maybe a colander so the water can go through, and then it'll start giving out little sprouts, and that's how you get your bean sprouts. Okay. Now, what are supplements for vegan and vegetarian diets? If you're a vegan or a vegetarian, it's very essential that you supplement with B12, D, omega-3, iron, zinc, and calcium, because these could be lacking, especially in the vegan diets. At the most, you should supplement with B12 because B12 is not found in any vegetarian foods or even in dairy. So check with your doctor. And if you're practicing a vegan or vegetarian um, form of life for eating, check with them and ask them, do you think I should supplement with B12? If you bring it up, I'm pretty sure the doctor will say yes, because B12 is also one of those vitamins which give you a lot of energy. And if you're suffering from a lack of energy, it could be that your iron levels are low, and it could also be that your B12 levels are low. B12 is an over the counter supplement. If you have a good B complex, you'll get your B12, or you could also just buy it as a supplement. Now we are the last food group, which is the dairy. So what is dairy good for? Okay. When they say dairy, they're also including the milk and the yogurt in it. And there's calcium rich options to keep your bones strong and healthy. The reason you have dairy is for protein, but mainly for the calcium and the vitamin D. Okay. Now, there are non dairy options which a lot of people are turning to. There are different kinds of milks. There's soy milk, almond milk, coconut milk, rice milk. So, how nutritious are these? Now, since you drink milk for the calcium, you really should read the food labels on these alternate milks, because there are some brands which do not supplement. And if you're drinking milk, you're drinking it for the calcium. And when you read the label, if it doesn't give you 25 or 30% of calcium per serving, you shouldn't be buying it. That's like buying water. Okay. Or just something that you don't need to put value into that. So make sure you read labels when you look at the alternate milks, and make sure that the calcium is at least 20%. A glass of milk gives you 30%. Okay, one glass of milk, regular milk, gives you 30% calcium. When it says 30%, it means 30% of your RDA, required daily allowance for the day. Maybe the next time I teach, I'll do a little section on reading food labels, because that'll make it easy for you to understand what you need to look for when you go and read food labels. But just remember this one thing: if you're drinking an alternate milk, look for the calcium and make sure it at least gives you 20%, 25, 30, or 35 is great, but at least 20%. Okay, because it needs to be fortified with the calcium and the vitamin D. Read labels to ensure non-dairy milks provide calcium and protein. Okay, now mix and match in a meal. It's good to mix and match, like for example, the protein pairing. You mix proteins together and you get complete protein, right? Same way in a meal, right? Having a fruit, a vegetable, and that's why they have the plate. Where is my plate? Yeah, this is a plate. This is actually a diabetic plate. But you can see here it has 4 sections, right? And this actually tells you about portion sizes. So if you kind of visualize your plate as having 4 quarters, 1 quarter for meat, 1 quarter for grain, 1 quarter for vegetable, and 1 quarter for fruit, you're good. So how easy is that, right? You have a plate, a normal size 8-inch plate, just like a pie. Make 4 quarters, and each quarter represents one food group. Okay, so some examples of one pot meals. I'm a big fan of one pot meals because I just think it's easy to throw everything together in a pot and cook it. So, if I can, for my family, I'd make one pot meals like every night, but I don't. But like, for example, you can have rice and beans with vegetable all together in one pot, right? Cooked a beef vegetable stew, a shrimp pasta casserole. The shrimp, there's pasta, there's probably vegetables, a mushroom risotto, which is mushroom plus the grain and the protein, a pot roast with vegetables, sausage and a pepper skillet. So some of these are just some ideas. It makes your life easier too. And some of these you could just make in an instant pot, or you can make it in one pot on the stove and just be done with it. Make enough to last you for 2 or 3 meals. And as you do that, you're going to eat a home cooked meal, and you haven't spent too much time in creating 3 or 4 dishes. Okay. Now, water wellness, although water is not technically a food group, it's important that you drink water after meals, with meals. With meals would if people who drink water with meals usually don't feel hungry because they drink the water, and then their stomach is full. But after the meal is good too, but you do need water for good digestion. Okay, so that whole meal you ate, you want the vitamins, the minerals, the protein, the calcium to get assimilated in your body, and water is a good way to do that. So make sure that you drink it after the meal at least, because it goes with meals. And plain water is good, but you can also spritz it with a lemon, or with anything, mint or ginger or something. Make your own little flavored water, but nothing like good old water to just wash the meal down. Okay, and pair your meals with a little bit of fitness, maybe a little bit of activity, even if it's just walking up and down or going out for a little walk around your home. That'll help with the whole digestion process too. So that's all for my presentation. So we could take questions now. I'm sure that there have been topics about the plate that I haven't touched on, so I'm happy to answer questions. I can
Thank
stop share too and just go to like.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Sue. If you need to reshare and go back to a slide, you certainly can do so.
Sure.
Thank you for, I like the way that you presented the organization, especially with just dividing up the food groups and then mentioning the water and the exercise. I really appreciate that. One new thing that I learned today is just looking at the label for milk and seeing if the calcium is around 20-25%. I did not know to look at that, so I will be sure to do that when I'm at the grocery store. And I didn't know 1 glass of milk was about 30% of your daily required calcium. So thank you for that information. I really appreciate that.
Welcome.
Thank you. And then let's see, looking through the chat. No questions from the chat. But again, any general comments for Sue, any questions, anything you may want to ask her, anything you want her to go over, please raise your hand in Zoom, and we'd love to hear from you. First up is Yvonne. Thank you so much for coming. You have a comment or a question for Sue?
Yes, I do. Thank you. This was great information. And I certainly did not know that about the watermelon rind. Now, is that the rind, which is the white part, right?
Yes,
And
the white
my
part.
question was about the white rice. What is your opinion of eating white rice? Should it always be brown rice?
Okay. Now, brown rice, I'm glad you brought that question up because brown rice is whole grain. It's considered whole grain, correct? But there's one rice which is very healthy, and that is basmati rice. And you know why? Because it has a very low glycemic index. And
Oh,
glycemic index is the way in which a food will hit your blood sugar. Okay. So white rice in general is not great, but the one rice, basmati rice, is considered one of the healthiest rices because of the GI. But there's one rice which is better than basmati, and that is brown basmati. Okay,
oh,
it's long, and if you notice, it takes a lot of water to cook it, and that's
mm-hmm.
a sign that the glycemic index is low. But otherwise, in general, brown rice, wild rice, those are the good rices to eat, not just plain jasmine rice or white rice as you see it, except for this one rice, and that's the basmati rice, and because of the glycemic index. So, did
Well,
I answer your question?
absolutely, because
Okay.
I've been, in a quandary about a lot of eating white rice, but I do have basmati rice on hand, and
Uh-huh.
I will use it because sometimes I don't have time to wait for that brown rice to cook. It takes a long time. But thank you. This was great information. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Yvonne. Really appreciate it. I love basmati, wild rice, any of those varieties are really good. So I'm glad I like that. Now knowing that information, thank you. Our next hand up is from Ms. Doris. Hello, how are you doing today? You have a question or a comment for Sue?
Hi, Alice. Hope you're doing well.
Mm-hmm.
And Sue, I want to ask you a question
Sure.
about the milk.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you're low tolerance with milk and you buy the other, like the silk milk or the soy milk,
Mhm.
what do you look for as far as the percentage of what you say calcium that's in it?
Yes, yes. Look for at least 20% because vitamin D milk or regular milk gives you 30%. So 20 is at least acceptable because 20 and 30, okay, there's just 10% difference, but you should make sure it has at least 20%. Otherwise, go to another brand. So check them because some brands they give you the 30%, some give you 25, but some give you like 10. And if you're buying something that gives you 10% and you're drinking the milk for the calcium, it doesn't even make sense because then you're going to have to drink like see, one glass of milk gives you 30%, right? So the way you look at it is for a day, you should get 100%. And that's why they tell children to drink at least 3 glasses of milk per day because 30, 30, 30 is 90, and that's close to 100. So if you're drinking something that only has 10%, and calcium is important for you too as you age because of osteoporosis and other things that you need calcium for. Imagine you'll have to get 10 glasses of milk to get the calcium that you could have gotten in just 3 glasses. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. So
Hmm.
look for the calcium. 20 is okay, but if it's anything lower than 20, I would not buy that milk. I would go with another brand, even if it's a little more expensive, because then I'm getting my money's worth in terms of nutrition.
Right. Well, thank you so much. You gave me a lot of good information today, and you did an excellent job. Thank
You're,
you.
you're welcome.
Thank you, Doris. I really appreciate your question. Thank you so much. Next up is Louise. Hey, Louise, how are you? You have a question or comment for Sue?
Yeah, I was gonna say when I was a child, we never eat the rice without the beans. And we make it together and then we put the coconut milk in the rice with the beans for flavor. Oh,
That would be so tasty.
and you get your
Delicious.
protein and everything from the beans, even if your meat was not a lot,
Uh-huh.
but you had the protein, the beans were right with it. And even now I noticed that my children that were born in the West Indies, they like it, but the ones that were born in America wants the white rice. They don't want the one with the beans. But I noticed that in the Chipotle, is that the name of this restaurant?
Yes,
They
Chipotle.
make the rice now with the black beans.
Yes.
They put the black beans over top of the rice. So they're learning something. They know something that, is right. They start selling the black beans with the rice.
Yes.
And then the milk, what about the dried powdered milk that we used to use years ago? They're bringing it back now and it's very expensive.
With that
Non,
again, I would say look at the labels, because
the
there
non,
are some brands of skim milk which give you the 30%. But
mm-hmm,
if it doesn't have the calcium, if it's just skim milk powder, it should have the calcium, but
mm-hmm,
it could have something added to it which
mm-hmm,
might be taking away from the calcium. So I would just say read the label. And what you said about the beans is interesting, right? We are following those habits that our ancestors had. You know, your grandmother
mm-hmm,
told you rice
right.
and beans was good for you. But if you look at scientifically, rice and beans is good for you because you're pairing two incomplete proteins and you're
Mm-hmm,
making them into a complete protein. So
right.
even though they didn't study that at that time, it's
Mm-hmm,
the same principle, correct?
yeah.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Did you have any other question? I know you asked me about the skim milk, but was there anything else about?
Yeah, that was it. The
Okay,
skim milk has vitamin D in it too.
okay. Check for the calcium too, and if it has the 25-30, it should
Mm-hmm,
be good.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Louise. We really appreciate your question and comments. Thank you so much for sharing.
Appreciate it. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have two hands. I think that'll be it for today after these two hands. But again, thank you so much for asking your questions and sharing your comments and ideas. I really appreciate that. Next up is Cassandra. Hey, Cassandra, how are you doing today? You have a
All
question or
right.
comment for Sue?
Yes, I just wanted to know if she could spell the word for that white rice, beginning with a
Oh, okay.
B.
I can put it in the chat.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
Okay,
um
because I'm
But
on.
yes, check it
and the
out. Check
cheapest
it out,
place to
Cassandra.
buy this, the cheapest
Okay,
place to buy this rice is probably Costco. They have a very good price on basmati rice, and rice has a very long shelf life. So even if you buy a lot of it, it will go, it lasts for a couple years. It doesn't have like
okay.
a short shelf life.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, Cassandra.
All
Thank you so
righty.
much. Have a good day.
Same to you.
And our last hand for the day is from Anne. Hey, Anne, how are you? You have a question or comment for Sue?
Hi, how you doing, Sue?
Doing good, doing good. How are you doing?
One question. The vitamins that you were talking about, I had to leave the minute for a minute. With the purple vegetables.
Oh, the anthocyanins. I'm going to
Yes.
write that in here too.
Okay.
Um,
What benefits are they more vitamins A or B or C or
1 second. The anthocyanins are actually a very superior antioxidant. Okay.
uh,
Vitamins are A, D, E, K, B, C, all of those. And minerals are like calcium, iron, vitamin K, all of those are minerals. The vitamin K is also vitamin, sorry. But the iron and the potassium, all of those are minerals. But the antioxidants are different, slightly different, but they give you the same properties. But even better, what antioxidants actually do is they protect, like, cells, cell
mhm,
damage, all of
mhm.
those anthocyanins protect against those, especially in this day and age where we are more exposed to like pollution more than our ancestors were, radiation, even from things like your laptop, your computer, right? So that's why antioxidants come in, because if you eat a lot of antioxidants, they literally protect your cells. And anthocyanins have been put on top of the list
Okay. Well, I thank you
because
so
that
much.
purple pigment.
Oh, the purple pigment. Okay. Well, you
Yes,
gave me
the purple pigment.
well, I love eggplant, and I've had the. Have you seen the purple sweet potatoes?
Yes,
Okay.
they are all the stores are catching them now, right? The purple sweet potatoes, those are high in anthocyanins too.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you, sweetie.
Very
You have a
welcome.
good day. Good presentation.
Same to you. Same
Good.
to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
I can send the presentation to you, Alex, if you want to send it out via email, because
Oh,
it is
it's
a
our
PDF.
session's recorded. Our session is
Oh, okay,
recorded.
okay,
So
okay.
this session will be on our YouTube channel, but if you want to put that PDF of that of the flyer in the beginning in the
Yes.
chat, you can
Okay.
also do that as well. But thank you so much for presenting today. I learned so much about nutrition, and even though we may have talked about these topics before, just hearing from another perspective and just your organization and your thoroughness is very much appreciated. We also had on Kenneth a little earlier, but I think he had to go. But we have Donna and Miss Lawanda on. Do either of you just want to share maybe your favorite tip or favorite fact that you learned or that Sue talked about? Did either of you want to share before we end for today?
Hi, Sue. This is Donna. Good
Hi,
afternoon,
Donna. Hi,
everyone.
hi.
Yes, what really stuck out to me today, Sue, is the milk percentage because I know a lot of people are switching to oat milk
Mhm.
and soy and all of that. So that's good to know about the calcium percentage. I never knew that. So that was one of the good things. And also, and I know I do a lot of white rice. So you're giving me options to end that and go over to a better source for myself. So thank you, Sue. As always, I learned a lot from you.
Thank you. I think we
Thank
all learn
you.
from each other. I learned a lot with that tip which Thomas gave us about the watermelon and some other tips that came up. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Miss Sarah in the chat said the basmati rice stuck out for me. Yeah, I love basmati, so thank you so much for that. And hi, Miss Lawanda. Thanks so much for coming on to our session. It's been a pleasure to have the Leadership Council on for our seniors.
Thank you. And once again, I thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come on. Very informative, Sue. Great job. What stuck out the most for me was the color wheel, making sure that we are eating, our plates are full with color. And yes, the purple is the most popular one for our household when it comes down to the purple yams for my senior parents. So it was a very, very informative session. And again, thank you, WowTech, for having us on.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you,
Lawanda.
Lawanda.
We really appreciate it. And well, that does bring us to the end of our session today, but I really appreciate all the chats and all the comments and all the suggestions. This platform is really meant for us to learn from each other in both ways, so I really appreciate that. Sue, do you have any final words or maybe your favorite tip or your most important tip? Any last thoughts on your session today?
Just load up on fruits and vegetables, especially during the summer. I am going to email that info sheet to Alex, and you can maybe put it on the somehow tie it to the presentation or send it to the others, because especially in the District of Columbia, if you uh, with a little bit of effort, you can get a lot of free vegetables and fruit, because there are a lot of places, especially during the summer, where they give out fresh produce. So I know for some of you it may not be easy because you're homebound, but even if you can get somebody to go once a week and pick up those fresh fruits and vegetables for which you don't even have to pay a cent, it's not a bad idea, because when it's free and available, it's good to take advantage of it. And there's so many ways we can use it. So I'm going to send a couple of resources to Alex, really, where you can actually get free fruits and vegetables. And like I said, even if you can't go, see if somebody will go for you. Maybe, you have a helper or your neighbor or your nephew or your daughter or somebody to just go and pick up those free bags where you don't have to pay a cent, but you can use those to enrich your nutrition and eat healthier.
Thank you, Sue. Yep, I can. If you send me any attachments, I'll be able
Yes,
to
I will.
attach them
I'll
to our
send those
daily
to you.
email.
Okay, I will do
Mhm.
that.
And I really learned a lot. I know our seniors did as well. Thank you so much for coming on. We hope you have a wonderful 4th of July. It's already July, goodness gracious. But I hope you enjoy your holiday. And let's all make sure to stay on to complete the poll to let us know how you felt about today's session. Let's all thank Sue and the Leadership Council for presenting, and let's all wish them a wonderful day. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you,
you,
Sue.
Sue.
So
Thank you,
much.
Sue.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Very informative. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
You
Thank
did a
you.
you did a wonderful
You.
job today,
Thank you.
Sue.
Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
nice,
Good
Sue.
job.
Very good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank you.
LCHC.
Yes.
Oh my
Appreciate
God.
it. Thank
Bye,
you.
Thank you, Sue.
Very welcome. Very welcome. I'm trying to
Thank
see how
you
to
so
leave.
much.
Is there like a
Oh, you can hit leave at you can hit end at the bottom right, Sue. Thank you. Hope you have a great day. Thank you so much.